Album ritratti lura fi żmien pajjiż ieħor milli nafjien titħabbeb miegħu bla ma trid u kemm nixtieq imqara l-ftit li jerġa' dak iż-żmien mill-ġdid li jerġa' dak iż-żmien mill-ġdid.
Lura għattini parti tal-program tagħna Lura fi żmien, il-program tagħna għallum fejn qegħdin nikkommemoraw l-40 anniversarju ta' Jum il-Ħelsien, 31 ta' Marzu 1979. Ħanurukom kanzunetta li fiha se naraw qatt ta' kantanti, qatt ta' personalitajiet jieħdu sehem ikantaw l-innu tal-Ħelsien mill-operetta li kienet ittellat b'isem ta' Ġensna.
dak iż-żmien mill-ġdid.
Wara dik il-kanzunetta xira illi naraw is-servizz li kien ħareġ fuq il-BBC dwar pajjiżna marbutin ma' tmiem il-bażi Ingliża f'Malta. Ħanaraw dan is-servizz tal-BBC illi żgur se jfakkarna f'ammont ta' affarijiet u avvenimenti.
5 battered merchant ships limped into Malta's Grand Harbour. They were the only survivors of a vital convoy. Despite serious damage under German bombardment, the supplies they carried broke the enemy siege of Malta and saved Britain's key position in North Africa. Lord Lewin, who at the time was a naval lieutenant on a destroyer escorting the convoy, says the success of the mission was crucial.
If we'd lost Malta, Roma would have got more stores and more fuel, and maybe Alamein wouldn't have gone the way it did. So it was the beginning of the turning of the tide. And if that convoy had failed to get through, then the war might have been very different and might have taken much longer.
But the historic friendship between our two countries ended in acrimony 7 years ago, when the Royal Navy withdrew from the island. The Prime Minister of the day, Dom Mintoff, accused Britain of abandoning Malta, and he turned instead to Colonel Gaddafi of Libya as an ally. It's an uneasy relationship that continues out of political necessity. So the journey of HMS Brazen to Malta has considerable diplomatic implications. But for today at least, the focus is on the festivities to celebrate the return of the Royal Navy.
Malta has given a big welcome to the Royal Navy on its first visit to the island for 7 years. Thousands turned out to cheer and wave Union flags as the frigate HMS Brazen sailed into Valletta harbour. The visit signals an improvement in relations with Britain, strained in recent years as Malta moved closer to Colonel Gaddafi's Libya. Brazen is there to celebrate a wartime anniversary important both to the Maltese and the Navy, the arrival of a relief convoy which broke the siege of the island at a critical stage of the fighting in 1942. From Malta, Keith Graves.
The Royal Navy arrived 9 minutes late after an absence of 7 years, but no one minded, especially as the delay was caused by the throng of little ships that sailed out at dawn to escort Brazen into Grand Harbour. It was undoubtedly an emotional moment as she entered one of the world's finest natural harbours and a home to the British Navy for 179 years until politics intervened. The Maltese people never really understood why the Royal Navy sailed away, and quite clearly eagerly awaited its return. This was an especially significant day for another reason. 44 years ago to the day, to the hour, almost to the minute, the survivors of the Santa Maria convoy that broke the enemy blockade of Malta and saved the island from surrender sailed by here to a similar welcome. And politics can't make people forget events like that. It was a personal reunion between the Navy and the Maltese.
Malta occupied a vital strategic position in the Mediterranean. The Germans had to get past it from their bases in Italy to supply their troops in North Africa. From Malta, Britain attacked the German convoys by air and by sea. In 1942, Hitler ordered one of the most savage blitzes of the whole war. But the islanders dug in, living underground in many cases. After 4 months of continual bombardment, the island was awarded the George Cross for bravery. But food, guns and ammunition were running out. Everything depended on a single convoy of ships getting through. On August the 9th, a convoy with a large naval escort passed through the Straits of Gibraltar. They took terrible punishment from the Germans, from the air and from the sea. But after 6 days of continuous attacks, the convoy limped into Valletta harbour. Of the 14 merchant ships that had set off, only 5 were left, but the siege of Malta was over.
The Maltese had promised Brazen a warm welcome, but this was something that would have brought a lump to the throat of the most hardened Matelot. The Royal Navy had sailed away 7 years ago amidst harsh words and acrimony. But that was between politicians, not people. And in the intervening years, the Maltese people have yearned for the good old days when Grand Harbour was the Navy's second home. And look who got in on the act. They just happened to be sailing by coincidence, of course. Today was a special day for another reason. 44 years ago to the day, to the hour, almost to the minute, the survivors of the Santa Maria convoy that broke the enemy blockade of Malta and saved the island from surrender sailed by here to a similar welcome.
I went to look at the ships on the harbour.
And you knew
and
that
it was a lovely sight.
Malta was saved?
We knew Malta was saved, although a lot of the ships were crippled, but they were in and they brought us life again so we can fight back the Jerrys.
Maria Warren worked in the war room on Malta, plotting the progress of that historic convoy. To mark the Navy's return, that war room is being restored as a museum. Today, formality went overboard. Such was the welcome that the sailors broke ranks and returned the compliment. In the years since the Navy left, the Maltese government has formed a close alliance with Libya and with Moscow, but they've not replaced the British in the hearts of most Maltese. There's hardly a family on the island that was not associated with the Royal Navy. Some of the crew of Brazen, by chance, had been on that last ship 7 years ago.
In a strange sort of way, a bit like coming home. It's the sort of reception we normally get when we get back to the UK. You'd think that 7 years later maybe people would have forgotten, but the memories are all still there. It's fantastic.
One thing's for sure, those who have replaced the British here and seem to be in much evidence today never get a welcome like this. This is Keith Graves for the 9 o'clock news in Malta.
ليرجع ذاك الزمن من جديد.
Wasalna għat-tieni pawsa tagħna, it-tieni pawsa tal-programm tagħna Lura fi żmien. Insegwu ftit reklami u nkunu magħkom m'għandhomux.
ليرجع ذاك الزمن من جديد.